he does not like being around Edward, does he? I mean, Edward did flirt with his wife. Hi, this is Cass from Aussie Hassblades, and welcome back to the Royal Generation of my Medieval Legacy Challenge. So, we're obviously back in the palace. I got some new CC I'm very excited about. We'll just zoom in a bit. He's just practicing because he doesn't have any cello skill. He's very, very bad, which is why I was watching it from back here. So I got a cello, I got a harp, and I got a lute. I haven't actually added the harp. I was thinking that could be a more feminine instrument. I feel like, this is just in my mind, I feel like that was an association. Likewise, the lute I feel like was more of a peasant's instrument, but again, I could be wrong. But I have added one anyway because it's cool looking. So I will show you guys. This is the little lute. They are playable. Now, I believe that the person who created this was Jane Simpson. They're on Patreon. Someone in the comments suggested that we check out the Regency Life mod or Regency Romance mod by Jane. I had a look at it. The only thing, there's some great stuff in that mod, but it is very complex and it's got a whole social structure that I'd have to spend a lot of time applying to the households already in the world, which is what put me off. But there's like aspirations and things in there that if they were separate, I would 100% get because they are awesome. But that same creator had a bunch of like medieval / at least old school instruments. And I was like, yes, please. That's wonderful. Oh, look at these two reading together. They're not meant to be overtly a couple, but sometimes you can just tell. Anyway, the kind of elephant in the room of the previous video, which if you guys have watched, you'll know because I did draw attention to it through editing, but I didn't notice. When we had that dinner party with the Goths, Edward flirted with Isabella on more than one occasion. I think the chain of events was he got a crush on his cousin. I took that off, or I tried to take that off with the write-in diary about overcoming your crush interaction, which didn't work because later on I noticed it was still there and I actually cheated it off. It didn't work. So he was feeling flirty because he was around his cousin because he still had the crush because the thing glitched out. He was feeling flirty and in a conversation with Isabella, so he flirted because that's what Sims do. If they're feeling flirty and they're in a conversation with someone that they can romance, they often will give it a go. So he flirted with Isabella twice, or at least he flirted with her once. She may have actually flirted with him the second time because then she'd been flirted with, so then she was feeling flirty. I don't know who actually initiated the second one, but as a result, Victor, I keep calling him Victor. It's not Victor, it's Richard. Richard Goth, who is the Lord of the Goth estate, got very angry at his wife and very angry at Edward. So my goal for this part is I want to repair that relationship. What we're going to say is, ignoring the fact this was all caused by a glitch from the crush not being removed, and it was a snowball from there, we're going to say Edward he's still adjusting to this court life. He's lived in like a farm community and maybe people are a bit more forward in the way they express affection there. And he did something that in the courtly context would be construed flirting, but in the rural context wouldn't. So that's how I'm going to play it, just because he would not have chosen to flirt with an adult married woman of the most powerful non-royal household in the realm, because that would be insane to make that decision. And he's not a Don Juan, Don Lothario type. Even Don Lothario I don't think would do that in front of the husband. He's too sly for that. It's the only explanation I can come up with for why he would have done that. So we're going to have to repair that relationship. But I also think Edward is the crown prince, and for him to go to Richard and say, hey, I did the wrong thing and I'm sorry, would actually be undermining the authority of the crown. So I'm not going to have him do that either. I think I'm just going to have him basically invite Richard over and be awfully social with him and try and like repair that relationship. The king is very interested in hot cross buns over here. His fun was very low, which was the other reason I thought I'd have him practice an instrument. But how cute is this? Like, if I get him to, can you go here now? He like gets up in a sensible way. But I'm going to let him go to bed. And I think on Tuesday night, we're going to, like, when he gets home in the afternoon, maybe we'll have at least Richard, maybe not Isabella. Maybe that would be, where are you going? You're going to go read an epitaph on an urn. I'm curious to see whose urn you're going for, my dude. Let's have a look. Oh, one of the knights. Oh, Edison. That guy. Faithful knight. Look, he was a faithful knight. He also had no boundaries with my sim, but that's fine. So excitingly, I only had Edward work hard for like half a day because I forgot. And he got his grades up. So A student. It'd be good if we can get him to graduate early because I don't really want to be dealing with high school and prom invites and all that nonsense. I would 100% have him graduate early if I can. But he's decided to do his homework in here. Well, I tell you what, since you are here and you are an employee, help me with my homework, sir. It's not homework. He's reviewing a document on strategy at the war, like tactical kind of strategy, and Byron is explaining why having higher ground is more important for things like archers and just the physical, like when you're swinging a sword, it's much easier to swing down than it is up because gravity and blah 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 blah. Once he's done that, I'm actually going to invite Richard over and we're going to have them socialize for a bit. The king went for a jog because he's had a lovely day. He's a man of leisure. I mean, he's running a kingdom, but he's a man of leisure. He's done some paintings. I actually want to give this to Edward because I want to give it as a gift and say it's from the king painted it, but it's a gesture of thanks for the Goths' support. You want more babies? No. Cutting you off. Oh, okay. Let's talk about the weather. Richard is not vibing. Everything I do! And now he's yelling. Is this just because they have bad compatibility? So let's give this painting and he's going to be like, you know, my uncle the king painted this portrait. He asked me to give it to you. Ward estate staff. Definitely not. Did he like it? He did like it. I'm good. He knows enough to know that you like when the king gives you a gift, even if it's via his nephew that you don't like, you, whoa! I guess he didn't like it. Is this a mistake? Have I made a terrible mistake inviting Richard over? Okay, based on their preferences, these sims totally clash. To grow this relationship, both sims need to put in more effort than usual. Sure, you can be cheerful. So, this is an opportunity... Oh, he's talking about trash. Maybe Richard's making some disparaging comments about, like, you know, country nobility. Although they're having a positive interaction at the moment. So if he is slighting the whole Ward estate country nobility thing, he's doing it quite subtly because Edward's not. And in fact, neither's the king getting a negative reaction. Maybe this is the... Oh, there we go. He got one negative. They got one negative reaction. He does not like being around Edward, does he? I mean, Edward did flirt with his wife. But that didn't actually give him a negative sentiment to Edward. He actually got negative sentiments to Isabella from what I saw. I was really hoping these two families could be quite close. I mean, they're actually related. Richard's like a cousin or something. I'd have to have a look at the family tree to get the exact level of cousinness. But I think he's like a first or second cousin, maybe? I've invited him over, I've given him gifts, I've been polite, and their relationship is actually exactly where it was when he wasn't here in the first place. No, see, I don't think he should apologise. He has a deep-seated grudge against Prince Edward. Look, I don't think the game is smart enough to remember that last time we played, Edward flirted with Isabella. I'd be very surprised, but this makes sense. I mean, the best thing I could do at this point is probably actually send Richard home, and then... let the grudge fade before we try this again. I don't like that he's feeling flirty because he could cue flirty interactions with Richard and make everything worse. We're definitely not going to apologise because we're the crown prince, and the king would actually, I think, have counselled him to not apologise. They're having an unpleasant conversation. I am making this actively worse. Now it's offensive. We don't like gardening, apparently. Oh. You're not wrong, Edward. That is the correct response to this situation. Oh, he doesn't get on with Richard either. Alright, maybe Richard's just a bit of a jerk, let's be real. Edward's vacating the space and letting his uncle try and repair the relationship. I don't know how this is going to go. Maybe the issue was I kept trying to have small talk and like discuss interests and stuff, and Richard got mad at that as well. He might actually dislike small talk. Discuss logic puzzles. I'm not actually aiming, because I'm basing the household income on Edward, not Richard, but it's more repairing the relationship between the Crown and the Goths. Tell an engaging story and discuss dance techniques. Maybe because Richard is actually a cousin of the king, he feels he's close enough and protected enough that he can express his dissatisfaction with the royal family. Like, he's privileged enough to be able to do that. So, you know, let's send him home. I'm actually just making everything worse. You go get some food. So that was a complete and utter disaster. Ooh. The lottery. I should cancel it. Yeah, I'm going to cancel it because it doesn't make sense in this save. For those of you who didn't see my community post, I had a sim win the lottery. I always had to say, I've never won the lottery before. I had a sim win the lottery in my off-screen save. The funniest part is it's a sim whose dad was a nectar maker, and they'd actually literally just moved into like this huge ranch based on the earnings from nectar making, which makes a ton of money. And she had already 500,000 sitting in the bank after they'd bought this huge ranch on this 64 by 64 lot. We did not need the million simoleons, but also now they're really living a life of luxury. I can't say I didn't win the lottery anymore. So it's Wednesday afternoon. Edward, who's still not a very confident rider, is heading down to the church to greet the head of the Church of the Order of the Watcher. Now, I just saw Desiree walk into the Goths. I was about to say, that's Desiree coming up the street. She walked into the Goth estate. I know she probably just despawned and this is where she chose to, but she must have gone in, right? Also, there's a million kids wandering around at the moment. I don't know what that's about. So that's actually the church up there. So yes, he's riding up. Now, one of the reasons I wanted him to actually ride there was I'm going to change him off this aspiration when he gets level 4 in 4 skills, because we're not going to have a career event. I mean, he will eventually become an adult, obviously. That's like in 2 weeks. And I'd like him to focus on something else. So I figured I'll have him come. He's going to greet he knows he's a cousin to the father's wife. He may or may not know he's a distant cousin to the father. I don't think he would. I'm not sure that... I guess it depends, because Gabriel's dad, so Jacob chose Marcus to be his sort of understudy and heir. Maybe he did that because he did know there was a tenuous connection. Vincent's calling. No. Absolutely not. I was going to say, is he calling to check up on the horse? That was our stable hand. We're still friends with him, though. This list has, I don't think, changed. Justine. Oh, my God, Melody. She's bucked him off so many times. It's taken me 3 goes to get him to the point where he could just ride this horse to here. But yeah, I'm working on his horse riding skill is the upshot of that story, because his skills, he has charisma, logic, horse riding at 3 and cello at 2. So let's dismount the horse. Her energy is low. She could have a little sleep here. We do need to knock on the door of the church. I don't know if he's going to be able to go upstairs, because I'm pretty sure this is... Oh, look at these two. Oh, by the way, I did download ballroom dancing mod again. It's a mercury foam mold that I have used before. It's a little bit old though. So this is Caroline, by the way. This is actually Edward's aunt, like his actual aunt. And Marcus is the head priest, who is still a young adult, so he's done quite well for himself. But I want to see if once he's gone to the bathroom, he can come up here. I'm not sure he's going to be able to. I might actually have to get Marcus and Caroline to come down, because I think that... Oh, no, he does look like he can. Because I was going to say, I know it was locked for household only. Jacob was a problematic kind of... I know I've talked to you guys about this before. He was... I loved being here, and it was a very different style of gameplay, but because the Order of the Watcher is... It's got some very strict beliefs around occults. I didn't kind of like Jacob's bigotry. And honestly, Jacob's bigotry is what started Bartholomew down the path he ended up on. But Marcus is going to be the same. She's very much got Anaya's figure. She's just aged up that way. One of the other mods I downloaded was a fan mod. It's part of the Regency Romance mod, but it's available as a separate install. So he has a fan and there are interactions he can do with the fan. I don't think he will, because for me that's a female sim thing, but I should be able to have them come and sit and chat here together. Because chatting out in the garden's a bit weird. Although they've got a nice view of the cemetery. Sims that have died in Windenburg in particular that aren't part of our family and aren't Goths or the royal family are all here. So there's a few of them around. There's the Lintons. We've got Cherish, and her husband are here. We have Caitlin, who was, I think that's actually, was that Desiree's grandmother? I actually can't remember. It was a long time ago. So I figure since we're close to having a friendship with Marcus, I'll do this first. I don't know where their daughter's gone. Oh, does she not have a bed? Oh, no, she does. Oh, actually, not daughter, son. We have Elias. It was the hair that threw me, but obviously I sometimes do use the feminine tagged hairs for my male sims in this save because it's medieval. This is their son, Elias. Oh, little cutie. So my goal is, as these sims age, he'll probably end up running the church. Are you guys getting on? Please tell me you're getting on. We've had such a terrible run with trying to make friends today. I do have this mod, and it just goes, it's a Carl mod. It just goes through and picks friendly interactions. Obviously with Richard, that would have been a train wreck anyway, but let's flatter him. Now, the other thing I'm trying to work on is I do want his charisma. Oh, that just jumped up. That's good. I do want to get him to charisma level 4. Oh, we're charisma level 4. That's good to see. Let's rhapsodize about piano sonatas. I should probably, thinking about it, I should probably have him on Friend of the World while he's a teen, because if I can get him that, it stops friendship decay. Are we friends? We're friends. Barely friends. Spread nasty rumor about Richard Goth. I suspect Marcus is probably good though, and that would not go down well. Oh, you want to steal their food? Look, I guess you could do that. I mean, I will have cooked it, right? What is the food? That was made by Anaya. Amazing that it's still fresh. You can eat that, it's fine. Anaya won't mind. That's your grandmother. She'd be happy to be feeding you. So I might actually end this part here, you guys. Oh, he's going to bed, so that makes this super awkward. I think it's good that he has a relationship with technically his aunt. It's actually his aunt and his uncle by marriage, because the church is quite powerful in the realm as well. And one of the reasons the realm was predisposed towards going to war with the vampires is because they believe occults are evil. One of the tricky things, I think, Edward's, I haven't actually got him on the Order of the Watch of Faith. He's not a super religious sim. I think it's probably in this realm. I'm not going to play it quite like medieval Christian Europe, where you couldn't possibly be a deity without, or not a deity, you couldn't possibly be a king without overtly being a member of a religion, because especially in like England, once the Church of England existed, you were the actual, like the equivalent of the Pope for the religion. So I'm not going to play it quite that strong, but I think I kind of don't want Edward to be that dogmatic. All right, we're actually going to take you home, my boy. I'll have him just walk down to the horse. So he doesn't need to be quite that strong, but I think he would want the church on side, regardless of his own personal beliefs, because the church is quite powerful. And there are obviously families in the realm that will be very, very religious. So he wants to at least have the church's blessing, even if he's not overtly religious himself. It's going to be a bit of a tightrope for him to walk, especially if we want to look at... Ooh, that's floating. Especially if we want to look at potential alliances down the road with the Fae, for example. I know that's an idea we've talked about before. So that would be a problem for him. I'm going to end this one here. I hope you've enjoyed. Let me know what you think. The horse has done a huge poop. It's very medieval. But yeah, if you've enjoyed, please like and subscribe. You know the drill. Don't forget to wash your hands, and I will catch you next time. Thanks for watching.